Hello, we are delighted to present Ms. Tawakkol Karman, who's a Yemeni human rights defender and Nobel Peace Prize laureate. We attach great importance to hearing independent civil society voices in this council, including voices that may offer challenging perspectives. Today we had planned to have a briefing by Ms. Karman, speaking about the importance of Yemeni-owned and Yemeni-led peace process that is inclusive of all aspects of Yemeni society. So without further ado, I give the floor to Ms. Karman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. My central message is that the root cause of Yemen's crisis is the collapse of the state. After more than a decade of war, millions of Yemenis continue to face hunger, poverty, displacement, and grave human rights violations, with women and children bearing the heaviest burden of this tragedy. The Houthis bear primarily responsibility for the collapse of the state, following their seizure of Sana'a and their overthrow of the transitional process in 2014. Since then, they have dismantled state institutions, imposed their authority by force of arms, committed widespread human rights violations, restricted women's rights, arbitrarily detained and forcibly disappeared activists, journalists, and UN personnel, and recruited children. Iranian military, financial, and logistical support for the Houthis has also prolonged the war and undermined prospects for peace. At the same time, the poor performance, lack governance, and divisions of the international recognized government have furthermore undermined state institutions and the rule of law. The intervention of the Saudi-led coalition, alongside with the UAE intervention, has also weakened the internationally recognized government, deepened fragmentation, contributed to the proliferation of armed groups outside the state authority, and undermined Yemen's sovereignty. The failure of the international community to protect civilians, ensure accountability, and implement Security Council resolution has further compounded the crisis. Today, with renewed clashes, Houthi missile attacks on Yemen and Saudi Arabia, and attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and Bab al-Mandab, the risk of another full-scale war has become very real. And this is no longer a Yemeni crisis alone. The continued collapse of the state in Yemen threatens international navigation and trade, energy security, and global supply chains, and undermines regional and international peace and security. I call on the Security Council to pressure all parties to immediately de-escalate and attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure and prevent another full-scale war. But de-escalation alone is not enough. The Security Council must support an inclusive Yemeni-led political process that restore Yemen's sovereignty in all its territory and independent national decision-making, rebuild state institutions, unifies military and security institutions under state authority, disarms armed groups, and ensure justice, accountability, and redress for victims. I also call on the Security Council to continue to demand the immediate and unconditional release of all those arbitrarily detained or abducted people. Humanitarian access must be unhindered, and there must be independent investigation into crimes committed by all parties and accountability for those responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Council should also consider establishing a special international court mechanism for Yemen to prosecute war crimes and crimes against humanity. Peace in Yemen cannot be sustainable without women. Women must be full partners in peace negotiations, state building, and decision-making, with representation of no less than 30% in accordance with the Resolution 1325 and the outcomes of the National Dialogue Conference. The outcomes of the UN-supported National Dialogue Conference endorsed by Security Council remains the most realistic foundation for rebuilding Yemen's future. The Security Council must press for the protection of national economic institutions, the regular payment of public sector salaries, the dismantling of war economy, the fight against corruption, and an end to the flow of weapons, financing, and military support to the Houthis and all other armed groups operating outside the state authority. Further, the Council must enforce its sanction regime and hold accountable all those who fuel human rights violations, undermine peace, or threaten Yemen's sovereignty, unity, or territorial integrity. My final message is that peace in Yemen cannot be reduced to a ceasefire or to a fragile truce, nor to the division of power and influence among armed groups and their external backers. Sustainable peace means restoring the Yemeni state, one united, sovereign, and democratic state that is governed by the rule of law and is accountable to its people. Yemenis are not asking the international community to build their future for them. They are asking to stand with them, with the Yemenis, as they reclaim their country and build their own future. 15 years ago, I was honored to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for standing alongside my country and its brave people in their peaceful struggle for freedom, dignity, democracy, and human rights. Today, I invite the Security Council to stand with the Yemeni people, not only because they deserve peace, democracy, freedom, and rule of law, but also because a united, sovereign, democratic, and stable Yemen is essential to protecting international navigation and trade, energy, security, and global supply chains, and ultimately regional and international peace and security. The Yemeni people are ready to be active partners with the international community in building that future. Thank you so much. Thank you. حبايبي شكرا. تمام.